1. 2014 Baylor/TCU CFP snub/Big 12 issue. The year is 2014. College football had finally done what fans had begged for. A playoff. No more weird formulas. No more national champions decided by computer rankings and confusing math. For the first time ever, 4 teams would be chosen by a selection committee to compete for the national title. And everything felt brand new, but just 1 year in, chaos. Enter Baylor and TCU, 2 Texas Titans from the Big 12 Conference. Both had amazing seasons. Baylor had beat TCU in one of the wildest games ever, a 61-58 shootout. Both finished the regular season with just 1 loss. And since the Big 12 didn't have a championship game back then, the conference pulled a strange move. It named both teams co-champions. Sounds fair, right? Not really. Because across the country, Ohio State was making noise. The Buckeyes, also with 1 loss, dominated the Big 10 championship game, crushing Wisconsin 59-0. That one result shook everything. When the final rankings came out, the playoff committee gave Ohio State the number 4 spot. Both Baylor and TCU were left out. Fans were stunned. TCU had been ranked number 3 the week before, and didn't even lose. Baylor had beaten TCU head-to-head and still got nothing. It didn't feel like football anymore. It felt like politics. Like image and timing mattered more than scoreboard wins. And the message from the committee? If your conference doesn't crown one clear champ, we're not picking you. Ohio State went on to win the national title, but in Texas, the wound never really healed. This is the story of how, in the very first year of the college football playoff, 2 great teams were left on the outside. Not because they didn't win, but because the system couldn't decide who they were. 2. 2023 FSU. Florida State. Snub. Picture this. You're a college football team. You play all your games, 13 of them, and you win every single one. Not just random games either. You win your conference championship, one of the Power 5 leagues, meaning you're one of the big dogs in college football. That was Florida State in 2023. Perfect record, a CC champions. So, obviously they should be in the college football playoff, right? Well, they weren't. Here's what happened. Late in the season, FSU's star quarterback, Jordan Travis, got injured. A big injury, out for the season. Now, even though the team still won their remaining games, including their conference championship, they weren't as flashy anymore. They relied on defense. The offense looked slower. But hey, they were still winning. The playoff committee, though, saw things differently. They said, look, this isn't the same Florida State team. Without Travis, they wouldn't be competitive against the top teams. So they left FSU out of the top 4. Instead, they picked teams like Alabama and Texas, who had 1 loss each, but looked stronger right now and came from bigger, tougher conferences. The reaction? Oh man, fans lost it. Reporters called it a robbery. Even Florida's government officials were upset. People asked, what's the point of winning every game if it doesn't count? The committee defended itself. We picked the 4 best teams at this moment, not just the ones with the best record, but the damage was done. It was the first time in history a Power 5 undefeated team was left out. The big takeaway? The 4-team playoff format was too small. It couldn't handle situations like this. And so, in 2024, college football finally expanded to a 12-team playoff. Too late for FSU, but maybe not too late for justice next time. 3. 2017 Alabama/Ohio State debate. So here we go again. It's 2017. The College Football Playoff Committee is back at the table, and this time, they've got a real headache on their hands. Let's set the stage. There's Alabama, the mighty SEC team with a reputation built on championships, dominance, and a coach who barely smiles. They finished their regular season 11-1. Their only loss was to Auburn, a solid team. They didn't even play in their conference championship game because Auburn beat them and went instead. Then there's Ohio State. They had 2 losses, but they did win their conference, the Big 10, by beating Wisconsin in the title game. Sounds good, right? Except one of Ohio State's losses was ugly. They got blown out by Iowa, a team no one expected much from. Final score, 55-24. Ouch. Now, here's where it gets messy. Do you reward Ohio State, the conference champion who played more games, or do you reward Alabama, the team with only 1 loss? Even if they didn't win their conference, the committee chose Alabama, and just like that, boom, the fireworks started. Critics said the committee picked Alabama because of their brand name. Like, it's Alabama, you know they're good. Others argued Ohio State had done more, played more games, won a title, but got punished for 1 bad night. It raised a big question. Is the playoff about what you did or about who you are? The decision fueled ongoing complaints that the system was too secretive, too subjective. Some fans felt it showed the committee cared more about reputation and TV ratings than fairness. And Alabama? They proved the doubters wrong. They not only got in, They won the whole national title that year. But still, the argument never went away. If a team like Ohio State can do everything right and still be left out, what are we even doing here? 4. 2003 USC versus LSU BCS controversy, split title. Let me take you back to 2003, Benoit. Before the playoff, before the committee, before any of this top 4 business. Back then, college football used something called the BCS, the Bowl Championship Series, to pick the 2 teams who'd play for the national title. Sounds simple, right? Wrong. See, the BCS didn't just go by wins and losses. It was a weird blend of human polls and computer formulas, factoring in things like strength of schedule, margin of victory, and even how pretty your wins looked. That year, 3 teams finished the season with 1 loss: USC, LSU, and Oklahoma. Now here's where the madness starts. USC was ranked number 1 in both major human polls, the AP poll and the coaches poll. That should have guaranteed them a spot in the title game. But nope, the computers didn't like USC's schedule. The BCS formula picked LSU and Oklahoma to play in the official national championship, the Sugar Bowl. So USC, the team every human thought was best, was left out. Instead, USC went to the Rose Bowl, crushed Michigan, and finished 12-1. LSU beat Oklahoma in the Sugar Bowl and also finished 12-1. Here's the twist. After both teams won, the coaches poll had to name LSU the champion. It was written in their BCS contract, but the AP poll refused. They kept USC at number 1. And just like that, 2 national champions, one chosen by humans, one chosen by math. Fans were outraged. Coaches were confused. Reporters were writing essays with titles like BCS equals broken computer system. It was the perfect storm of math, politics, and bad timing. And honestly, it's a big reason the playoff even exists today. 5. 2011 Alabama versus LSU. Rematch, BCS controversy. All right, let's talk about 2011, the season when college football's national championship felt like a rerun of something you'd already watched and maybe didn't even like the first time. Here's what went down. That year, 2 absolute powerhouse teams, LSU and Alabama, ruled the college football world. Both were from the SEC, the most dominant football conference at the time. In the regular season, the 2 met in what was hyped as the game of the century, but it ended in a weird, slow-motion kind of way. LSU beat Alabama 9-6 in overtime, with only field goals. No touchdowns, just a whole lot of defense and missed chances. LSU stayed undefeated and won their conference. Alabama didn't even make it to the SEC championship game because, well, LSU had beaten them. So you'd think LSU would move on to face someone else in the national title game, right? Wrong. The BCS system, based on human polls and computer rankings, ranked Alabama number 2, meaning, yup, a rematch. And not just any rematch. This was for the national championship. Fans were confused. Wait, so Alabama didn't win their conference, didn't beat LSU, and still gets another shot? The backlash was loud. People argued that other teams, like Oklahoma State, deserved that second spot instead, but the BCS stood by it. And in the title game, Alabama completely dominated, beating LSU 21-0. Revenge complete. By rule, the winner of the BCS title game was crowned champion. No controversy there. But the way we got to that game, that left a bad taste. 2 teams from the same conference, a rematch no one wanted, a team getting in without even winning its division. Fans and experts began demanding change. This was one of the final straws. If the BCS couldn't avoid this kind of awkward setup, maybe it was time for something new. Coming next, 2017's forgotten drama, when Georgia knocked but couldn't get in. Want me to keep going with that one? 6. 2017 Georgia versus Oklahoma playoff snub debate. By 2017, the college football playoff had already seen its fair share of drama, but this time, the spotlight shifted to a growing question. Is the playoff supposed to reward the best team or the most deserving? Let's dive in. Georgia, a powerhouse from the SEC, had a strong season. They went 11-1, played a tough schedule, and lost only once onto Alabama. Not exactly a bad team to lose to. They then bounced back, won their conference championship, and looked playoff ready. Then there was Oklahoma. They finished 12-1, also won their conference, the Big 12, and had a high-powered offense that lit up the scoreboard all season. Their one loss to Iowa State, a less impressive team compared to Alabama. So here's the drama. When it came time to pick the 4 playoff teams, the committee gave the final spot to Oklahoma. Georgia fans were stunned. Wait, yet we won our conference too. Our only loss was to Alabama, and our conference is tougher. But the committee explained they saw no clear difference between Georgia and Oklahoma, so they leaned on their rules. And in a close case, conference champions usually win out. Since Oklahoma had that title too and stronger numbers in some areas, they got the nod. The result? More fuel for the ongoing debate. What really matters? Your resume or your reputation? Who you beat or how you beat them? It became a textbook case in playoff politics. Even though Oklahoma went on to compete hard, the controversy stayed alive. Because in a world where everyone plays a different schedule and every team claims to be worthy, the question still echoes: who really belongs when only 4 get invited? For every champion crowned, there's a team that never got their chance. And that's the real heartbreak of college football. Subscribe now and hit that bell icon so you don't miss the next video in this saga of controversies.